Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Pokemon Crystal. Hello. Last time, we made our way here to Violet City, and we also captured a new Pokemon for our team in the form of Zubat. Probably not going to be the greatest member of the team for a while, but give it time. As soon as it evolves and gets more moves, I think it's going to be pretty good. Anyway, this time, that guy over in the Gatehouse said we should go check out Sprout Tower, and I think we are going to do that, but we're also going to do a few other things. First things first, right in here is this kid. I collect Pokemon. Do you have Bellsprout? Want to trade it for my Onix? If you catch a Bellsprout out on Route 31, you can trade it to this guy, and you will get an Onix that is holding a Bitterberry in return. I believe this is the earliest point you can obtain Onix in the entire game, so technically, in my book, it counts. Now, in-game trades in Pokemon Crystal, and I believe it stayed this way all the way up until Black and White, the Pokemon you get will be the same level as the Pokemon you give. So, keep that in mind as you go through the game and do the in-game trades. It's probably one of the only ones of note, just because it's a Pokemon that we don't actually have yet, but I'll try and mention more in the future as we get to them. Anyway, there's a little tree right here, but unfortunately, we do not have the ability to cut it down, so really not much we can do in that regard. Right over here is this guy. I really like this guy. Hello, you are trainer? Battle gym leader, when you did? I mean, I haven't battled him yet. Is that so? Then study shall you. Follow me. And off he goes. Oh man, I loved this guy's animation in Crystal. It's not as fun in the remake. Here, teacher I am. Good it is you study here. I believe that this guy actually appears in Pokemon Stadium 2 somewhere. I'm not sure why, but I think he does. I also don't think he has anything to give to you, unfortunately. Earl I am. Wonderful our Pokemon, yes? Teach you I will to be a better trainer. What do you want to know? Want to be a winner as you? I mean, yeah, sure. Good, teach you I will. In battle, Pokemon top on list, jump out first. Change order in list. Make battle easy, maybe. More from me you want to hear. Absolutely, sir. So, want to know how to raise Pokemon well? Sure. Fine, teach you I will. If Pokemon come out in battle even briefly, some experience points it gets. At top of list, put weak Pokemon. Switch in battle quick. This way, weak Pokemon strong become. I believe I explained that last episode, although in a lot more proper English. It's this kid's notebook. Catch Pokemon using Pokeballs. Up to 6 can be in your party. Keep reading? Sure. Before throwing a Pokeball, weaken the target first. A poisoned or burned Pokemon is easier to catch. Keep reading? Sure. Some moves may cause confusion. Confusion may make a Pokemon attack itself. Leaving battle clears up any confusion. Keep reading? People who catch and use Pokemon in battle are Pokemon trainers. They are expected to visit Pokemon gyms and defeat other trainers. The next page is blank. I haven't written any more. I believe right over here, the blackboard describes Pokemon status changes in battle. I believe I went over Poison, Paralysis, and Sleep previously, but I have not gone over Burn yet. A Burn steadily consumes HP, but will not do so outside of battle. It also reduces attack power. A Burn lingers after battle. Use a Burn heal as the cure. And there is also Frozen. If your Pokemon is frozen, it can't do a thing. It remains frozen after battle. Thaw it out with an Ice heal. Now the interesting thing about being frozen is probably the rarest status condition in the entire game. And I believe if you are hit with a Fire-type move, you will automatically defrost, and there is exactly one move in the entire game that will defrost you if you choose to use it and are currently frozen. Anyway, right here in the mart, I want to buy some stuff. So, we are going to buy a few Pokeballs, actually. We're not going to be catching anything for the team this episode, but I am going to need them regardless. I also highly recommend buying precisely one escape rope. There we go. And here's the rest of the inventory. These items right here, X Defend, X Attack, and X Speed, are basically item forms of moves that raise your stats in battle. So if your Pokemon doesn't have, say, I don't know, Growth, I think is an example, you can use X Attack as an item to raise its attack instead. So this one raises Defend, this one raises Attack, this one raises Speed. And there is also mail right here, which, as I mentioned prior, is a hold item that you can put text into. I might explain that in more detail later, but honestly, it's probably one of the most useless features in the game. And I think the developers agree with me, because it is not in X and Y onward. Anyway, right over here is Route 36, which has one of my favorite route themes, as I've already mentioned. Right over here, we have something interesting. We have this wiggly tree right here. Unfortunately, we cannot do much of anything about it. Well, hey! I was going to snap that tree with my straight-arm punch, but I couldn't. I'm a failure. Keep this guy in mind for later. Only in Crystal version, not in the remake, not in Gold and Silver, there's a patch of grass here. There is one new encounter that you can obtain in this grass, and that is Growlithe, which is a fire type, which can be useful going forward. It does have an evolution, but unfortunately we do not have the means of obtaining it yet, so I'm not going to go over it until later. Here we have the Ruins of Alph North entrance. Let's head right on inside. This place is interesting. Don't you wonder who'd make something like this? And why? And what do you have to say? Did you see that strange tree in the road? That may explain why fewer people are visiting the Ruins of Alph. Honestly, if you have a three-way intersection that is all of one tile, you're gonna have commerce problems sooner or later, people. Anyway, right here is, in fact, the Ruins of Alph. And this is the Mystery Stone Panel Chamber. And this right here is the Ruins of Alph Research Center, the authority on the Ruins of Alph. Let's see what you guys have to say. The ruins are about 1,500 years old, but it's not known why they were built, or by whom. There are odd patterns drawn on the walls of the ruins. They must be the keys for unraveling the mystery of the ruins. Very, very interesting indeed. This is probably one of the most iconic parts of Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and of course the remake. What do you have to say? Welcome to this chamber. There are sliding panels that depict a Pokemon drawn by the ancients. Slide the panels around to form the picture. To the right is a description of the Pokemon. Scientists in the back are examining some newly found patterns. These newly found patterns are not in Gold and Silver, but they are in the remake, which is really cool. Right back here, we have this guy. Recently, strange cryptic patterns have appeared. It's odd. They weren't here a little while ago. About a year ago, according to the game release schedule, you should take a look at the walls. Examine the wall. Patterns appeared on the walls. If you look very closely, you can see that this seems to say escape in some odd language. That is why I wanted you to buy an escape rope. If we go into our backpack and use our escape rope, hopefully this works, we are warped out. That's basically what an escape rope does. If you are in a dungeon-like area and you use your escape rope, it'll warp you back to the entrance. This is different from Generation 1. In Generation 1, it will warp you back to the last Pokemon Center you used, which really confused me when it happened to me in the previous Let's Play. Anyway, we go back inside. And something seems to have happened. Using an escape rope in that exact spot will cause this change in the wall. Oh, there's another huge hole. It's big enough to go through. Go through, and there are 4 items in here, which is an unprecedented windfall for this point in the game. Right here we have a berry. Right here we have a poison cure berry, which we've also already gone over. And back here we have energy powder and heal powder. These are 2 of a new class of item in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal known as bitter items. If you go into our backpack, you'll see that the energy powder restores HP by 50, but is bitter, and the heal powder cures all status conditions, but is also bitter. This relates to a mechanic in the game known as happiness. This is basically a massive expansion of Pikachu's happiness in Pokemon Yellow. Basically what it does is, as your Pokemon grows and levels up, it will gain happiness, and as it faints and as it's fed bitter stuff, it will lose happiness. Some Pokemon actually evolve based on this happiness stat. Some Pokemon have to have really high happiness in order to evolve, which is really interesting. And there are also a couple of moves in the game that are affected by happiness that we have not seen yet. Does this say anything? It's a replica of an ancient Pokemon. Very interesting. drop down this hole, and we have some inscriptions on the ground. Our words shall remain here for the ages. Very interesting. There are also some patterns on the wall back here. Interestingly, in the trailer for the Gold and Silver re-release on the Virtual Console, this graphic appeared in their little animation, and believe it or not, it actually says Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon on it. To be seen if that is of any relevance in the future. Anyway, down here is yet another gigantic chamber, and there are some tourists inside. This is a big room, but there's nothing here. He is correct. As of right now, there is absolutely nothing here. These are the main ruins of Alph and the main reason people tend to come here. This place has a mystical quality to it. It feels sort of ethereal even. Very cool indeed. Also, this music is really trippy, just gotta say. What do you have to say? Ancient buildings are often tombs of kings, like the pyramids, for instance. I have to wonder if we'll ever get a Pokemon region based in Egypt. I think that would be really cool, although personally I'm gunning for Australia for the next generation. Anyway, nothing down here, so I think we have nothing left to do but to head back into that chamber that we saw earlier. So if we head right on up here, we are back outside. Ruins of Alph. Visitors welcome. Very cool indeed. But, as you might recall, there is some other stuff over here. A Pokemon that hid on the sea floor. Eyes on its back scanned the area. Right here, we have a moving stone puzzle, which is really, really cool. They retooled this in the remake to make it a lot easier, which I think is kind of unfortunate because I always have fun doing these particular puzzles. I just really like doing them, and they're not that hard, because as you can see, some of these actually have a border to them, so they're not actually the most difficult puzzles to do. So let us just grab this piece and this piece over here, and anyone who has played the original Generation 1 Pokemon games might recognize the Pokemon that that hint is referring to. If you look at the image that we are creating, you will see that we are actually constructing a stone picture of Kabuto. And I did it first try, yeah. Alright. Once you've completed that, the floor will open up, and we will fall down back into the ruins. There's a strange presence here. That strange presence is none other than a brand new Pokemon to Generation 2. That Pokemon is Unknown, and how fitting that the first one we find is in the shape of the letter D. In this game, there are 26 different forms of Unknown. In later games, this would later be boosted to 28, but for now, it is 26. Every single time you complete a stone panel puzzle like that, it will unlock more shapes, or rather, more specifically, letters, in the ruins. This particular chamber unlocks A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K in Pokemon Crystal, and I believe also in Gold and Silver. Very interesting. Now, it only has one move, Hidden Power. Hidden Power will use the Pokemon's individual values, which basically determine how good their stats are, at least it's one metric for it, to determine what type Hidden Power will be. It can be any type in the entire game except for normal, and it will also randomly generate how much damage it will do. Although, honestly, it's not very strong regardless, so I wouldn't really recommend using Unknown for any purposes other than just collecting them all. Now you might wonder why I am catching one right here, even though I am not going to be using it on my team. In fact, there is something you can get in the ruins if you capture 3 different kinds of Unknown, because different types of Unknown exist. It is said that they must have a variety of abilities. Very, very, very cool. Alrighty. Now, one thing I really don't get about Unknown is they always talk it up in the anime and stuff like that to be this super powerful, ultra legendary thing, but in the games themselves, it is awful. Like, it's completely not worth catching for any actual competitive play. It's just a really, really bad Pokemon. Anyway, for the time being, I need to catch 3 different types of unknowns, so I think we're going to fast forward until I accomplish that. I should mention, Unknown is one of those Pokemon that is prone to fleeing. Ay ay ay. There we go. That is 3 types of Unknown. Now you might have noticed, when your HP gets down into the red zone, which I believe is below a really low percentage, like 20 or so, that beeping is going to start happening. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, it sucks. Yes, I'm going to try and avoid it happening as much as I can. Anyway, I'm going to equip berries to our main team right here, and now we are going to head back out of the ruins because there is something for us. This guy. That's a Pokedex, isn't it? May I see it? There are so many kinds of Pokemon. What's this? What is this Pokemon? It looks like the strange writing on the walls of the ruins. If those drawings are really Pokemon, there should be many more. I know, let me upgrade your Pokedex. Follow me. And we are going to follow him over into the office over here. And he will upgrade our Pokedex with a bunch of really fun sound effects that they really just wanted to squeeze into the game a little more. Done. I modified your Pokedex. I added an optional Pokedex to store unknown data. It records them in the sequence that they were caught. And our Pokedex was upgraded. Very cool. The unknown you catch will all be recorded. Check to see how many kinds exist. If we go into our Pokedex, and we press select, we now have a new mode, the Unknown mode. Unknown are listed in catching order. We switch the mode, and this allows us to check the different forms that we have caught, which is really interesting. As you will notice, each Unknown has an associated quote-unquote power to it. These powers don't actually do anything, they're basically just words that start with the unknown letter in question. So in this case, Unknown D starts with direct, J is join, and B is bear. Really, really neat. You need to catch at least 3 different types of unknown to unlock this mode, and there really isn't any other reward until you get all 26, and we do not have the ability to capture all 26 as of yet. But in case you're wondering what the reward is, so you want to know whether you want to go for it or not, this doesn't seem to work yet. This is a printer. It's a Game Boy printer feature. I will leave it to you whether or not you want to go for that or not. Anyway, we're going to head over here, and we have this guy. While exploring the ruins, we suddenly noticed an odd presence. We all got scared and ran away. You should be careful too. The ruins hide a huge secret, I think. Very interesting. Unfortunately, there is nothing else that we can do in this area as of yet, but if we come back later on in our adventure, there will probably be more for us to do. There are drawings on stone panels. I tried moving them. I wonder what they are. Very interesting. Ruins of Alph, a look and touch tourist site. Try the sliding stone panels. I tried that, buddy, and some weird stuff started happening. You're studying the ruins? I see a scientist in the making. Or engineer, one of those two. Anyway, right out here is Route 32, and this is the Ruins of Alph East entrance. What does this sign say? Probably just says Route 32, yep. Violet City to Azalea Town. We cannot get to Azalea Town yet because we have this guy in the way. Wait up, what's the hurry? Have you gone to the Pokemon Gym? You can test your Pokemon and yourself there. It's a rite of passage for all trainers. Now it's worth noting, only in the remake there is actually grass in this area and you can catch the Route 32 Pokemon prior to facing the gym. Unfortunately in Generation 2 this is not possible. Anyway, heading north, this loops back into Violet City, and right here we have a Paralyzed Cure Berry. Very cool. Now, one joke I completely meant to make in previous videos, I just forgot to, is this item right here. Can we all just agree that it should be called the PlayStation Network Cure Berry? Yeah, I know, that was stupid. Anyway, we are going to head back over here into Violet City. Now, one thing I forgot to mention about the PC last time that only now really became relevant to us is the fact that in Generation 1, when you deposited a Pokemon into the PC, it would not get healed. That is changed in this game, because you can deposit Pokemon in the PC and they will automatically be healed. Also worth noting, you are allowed to release Pokemon from the PC right here. This is basically a more humane way of saying you're deleting the Pokemon, because once you release a Pokemon, you just cannot get it back. I very, very rarely, if ever, release Pokemon in any Pokemon game ever, so I guess I'm kind of a hoarder in that regard. In fact, some of my more recent copies of Pokemon games are actually filling up, which makes me a little nervous. Anyway, gonna heal up our team right here, and it's looking like we're probably not gonna have time to check out the Sprout Tower today. So I think we are going to end things off here. So, this past episode of Pokemon Crystal, we explored the area surrounding Violet City, including the very mysterious ruins of Alph. And next time on Pokemon Crystal, we are going to be heading off to check out the Sprout Tower, and probably also the gym, because the Sprout Tower is a pretty small area. Anyway, without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.